Good morning. It is a beautiful and lovely Wednesday morning. A balmy, tropical 46 degrees out here. I have 2 court appearances to make today. One at 9 a.m. for a DV evidentiary trial. That's going to be fun. And then at 1, I have another trial on reserved issues in a dissolution. Family law day today. Most days include at least some family law, but today is especially family law day. It's going to be fun. I'm going to wear my special socks today. Had a lovely visit with Felipe Hemming. Oh, I'm talking about you, Felipe. Does that mean I watch your stuff? Huh? I get into my Discord last night and I see a bunch of people bemoaning his presence in the comments. And yet, there he is in the chat area, in the voice area, entertaining a crowd of willing participants. Naturally, I jump in to see what all the hubbub is, bub. And he was talking about racism in the police. Now, if anybody wants to say that there is a racist police officer, absolutely. Any human system has failure points in it. I think you can tell through the various legislation and the various responses by police departments to accusations of racism, etc., that it is not a preferred position for any police department to be in. I don't think it's a preferred position for any government agency to be in. It's an easy charge to make, but as Mr. Hemming found out last night, it's a much harder charge to substantiate. Now, the first thing he took issue with is that I prefer court opinions to news articles, and I do, especially when I'm talking about news articles, or when I'm especially when I'm talking about a court opinion. It is always preferable to read the actual court opinion than it is to read someone's interpretation of what the court opinion is. Thankfully, Mr. Hemming agreed with me on that. But getting facts from newspapers isn't particularly an issue. Well, he was going to give me various facts. I already knew he couldn't prove that the police are in general racist. It was actually kind of interesting. I don't know if anybody here remembers the Freddie Gray case in Maryland, where Freddie Gray, I think he broke his neck or his back in transport to the to jail, and you get all wound up, and there were white officers transporting him, and so obviously it has to be racism, right? Well, in Baltimore, the police chief was black, and the city's prosecutor was black, and the judge was black, and most of the town council was black. It was like 7 out of 13, I think, were black. And the prosecutor tried to bring all 6, I think, of the officers to trial for this, for breaking Freddie Gray's back and all this fun stuff. And I believe she was disbarred over it not because she was trying to actually bring charges against officers, but because she was trying to bring charges that were unwarranted, they were unsubstantiated, and she lacked probable cause for them. We know that there have been racist police officers in the past. We know that there have been racist police departments in the past. We know that there's been Jim Crow laws and things like that. The problem with it is that today all that stuff is illegal. So any charge like, you know, the police are racist, you're gonna have a hard time. You should have access to statistics like conviction rates or various judgments against the police, etc., or their practices. And yet there's a surprising lack of them. And if you show 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 officers that are racist, that's 1, 2, 10, or 20 out of 300,000-ish. You know, and every day there's some retiring and some being hired. So that's a very small percentage. Anyway, so the very first thing he does is he drops a link for the Compton Herald about an article about cops having white supremacist gang tattoos. Okay, well, the very first thing I do when I am presented with a news article is I look at the source. If it's just quoting AP or Reuters, then sure. I mean, anybody can quote AP or Reuters. But if it's not, then I want to make sure that I'm dealing with a credible, competent news agency. Just because someone throws News Now in their name, or, you know, something along those lines doesn't make them a news agency. And just because somebody has an air quotes article published on a web page that vaguely resembles a newspaper's web page doesn't make them a newspaper. It doesn't mean they have journalists. It doesn't mean they know a goddamn thing. So I Google the Compton Herald. You know, I have the article in front of me. It doesn't look terribly. There's nothing on the page that makes me suspect that this is a very credible news agency, and I don't want it to be like the Onion or the Babylon Bee or another satire website. So I Google it, and I get like 3 or 4 hits on it. I don't remember exactly. It was very few hits on the Compton Herald. And so I question Mr. Hemming on it, and he says, "Oh, you're racist because it's a black newspaper." Well, the funny thing is, I didn't know it was a black newspaper. And I'm actually wondering how he knows it's a black newspaper. I mean, just because it's called the Compton Herald, does it necessarily mean? I mean, are there no whites in Compton? Are there no Hispanics in Compton? Are there no Asians in Compton? I don't know. Anyway, so apparently I'm racist because I questioned the Compton Herald. And he says, "Oh, well, I dropped another link from the New York Times." And so I go and I read that, and it's allegations from June of this year that these cops have skull tattoos, which I think is really fucking stupid. Police officers out there, if you're so fucking dumb that you get skull tattoos to show your camaraderie with your other officers, how about you pull your head out of your fucking ass? Jesus. I get so tired of stupid people making stupid mistakes, and nothing is more warm and welcoming than a police officer with a skull tattoo. Fuck me sideways. Anyway, so it was a nothing burger. But, you know, old Felipe. So he's not having a terrible good time. Oh, and then he pulls up a article or two out of Florida showing a couple corrections officers were arrested for being racist or something. And basically it's a fallacy of composition. I actually looked it up last night because it's where you assume that the qualities of a part are the qualities of the whole. Oh, really? Why don't you go around the other side, dude? Go around the other side. No, go around the other side. Go around the other side. Ha 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 ha! Cut you off. You can't wrap me up. He likes to do the sweep around from behind. Anyway, the fallacy of composition. It's where you assume the parts of the qualities of the parts are the qualities of the whole. So, like, if you looked at someone's blood and you said, the blood is wet and red, so the person must be wet and red. No, it doesn't work that way. And then it devolved down into bald-faced threats. He's gonna sue me. Well, I guess when you laugh at someone and say "do it," that kind of maybe makes them think you don't really feel very concerned about their threats of a lawsuit. No, he wasn't threatening. And then he's gonna come up there and say it to my face. And okay, well, I'm gonna walk away from you if you do it, because I don't want to talk to you. Oh, you know how much it would cost me to punch you in the face, John? Do you know how much it cost me? It cost me $500 to punch you in the face. First of all, he's assuming that there would only be criminal penalties, but whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna assume what a jury would say about how much it would cost to punch me in the face. Some low-life rat like him driving 500 miles to punch me in the face. I'm a reputable and upstanding member of society, and there's fucking fat, grotesque Felipe having driven 500 miles to punch me in the face. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I think maybe I could find a jury that would give me more than $500. Anyway. So that failed. Then he's going to tell my boss, what would Alan say? Oh, what would Alan say? Again, the do it ended that threat. Oh, that wasn't a threat. Come on, dude. Anyway, my point of this is that Felipe Hemming is a fat secretary who makes useless threats, who doesn't understand the law, and who fails to intimidate little old me. Little old me. Anyway. You'd think you'd realize that someone with my mouth has had more than threats carried out against me. But whatever. Drive on up and talk to me, Felipe, if you think that's gonna make you feel better about being a fat secretary. And bring plenty of cash. I think that was really the only point I had to make today. On a real quick side note, I've seen comments before, and this one I'm going to attribute to Eric the Fathead. That's his name. I'm not making fun of him. He said that police rarely ask, they coerce under threat of force. Well, maybe you need to think that one through a little bit better. Number one, there are laws in place that say that you have to, if an officer gives you a lawful order, you know, there's a good chance that you have to comply, or else you'll be obstructing, resisting, delaying, something along those lines. You know, there tend to be laws in place for a lot of these things. So the law, then you could say is coercive, and if you say the law is coercive, then you're retarded. So, you know, yes, the point of the law is to get you to comply with the law. And if the officer is acting in a lawful capacity and he gives you a lawful command, then odds are you have to obey it, because the law says you do. Odds are. Hashtag not all. Hashtag talk to an attorney. So if we rule out the lawful commands, where the officer has some sort of a statute backing his authority, then you're left with a man with a gun talking to you. And one has to consider, if a man with a gun talking to you is innately and inherently coercive, then how do you square up Second Amendment rights? all of those of you who want open carry, who want concealed weapons permits granted on a shall grant basis instead of a may grant basis. For those of you, how could you ever have any interaction if a man with a open carry pistol on his hip walks into a store and buys a pack of bubble gum? Would that sale be under coercion, under threat of force? It's not a very logical position to have. And I think maybe those people who just keep bleeding like sheep, these little buzzwords that I'm sure it traces all the way back to Gavin Seam, but it goes as far back at least as James Freeman that I'm aware of. He's the first person I heard from. I don't know if he's the originator. But you need to think about that. If you're just saying the law is coercive, then you're stupid and you should feel bad. But if you're saying that just a man with a gun talking to you is stupid, or do you think that the badge makes it coercive? Because if badges make things coercive, well, then again, you're stupid. Just having a badge doesn't mean force. It's not an indicator that force can, will, or should be applied. It's just a badge. A gun, on the other hand, is a little different. Anyway, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.